What's going on, everybody? It's Joey Valley TCG. Hope you guys have been well. I am back with another video. I know it's been a while. I have absolutely missed you guys. It's been a crazy few weeks of my life, and frankly, a little bit. I was a little bit worried about the broader financial world. And I'll show you guys a little bit what I mean about that in a second. But I am back. And I will be putting out more and more videos about One Piece now that things have at least calmed down for a second now. So today we are going to be talking about the One Piece world. We're going to go to the fundamentals. We're going to go talk about the booster boxes. And I am going to color a lot of my comments around my views on the general market, the financial market. And the reason for that is because I think what we've seen over the last few weeks is going to be huge, absolutely huge, for how prices are going to roll going for the next few months, if not even the next couple of years. So please, if you guys enjoyed this type of content, like, comment, and subscribe. And, we'll talk about this. And also let me know what you guys think about how the financial world is going to impact booster box prices. So what I mean, first of all, just to give you a quick overview of the last few weeks of my life. And if you don't want to listen to the financial stuff, just skip forward a couple of minutes. This is going to be pretty quick. But so this right here is what we call the VIX index in the financial markets. And what it is, it's volatility. It is a measure of how scared investors are. So when people are fear selling all of their assets, this goes down. This goes up like crazy. And so if you can see on a 1-year basis, right? This is a little bit slow, but here we go, right? So 1-year basis, right? A few days after Liberation Day, this hit 51, almost 52, right? Actually 52, right? And the reason why that's important is because if you go to 5 years, this is the highest in 5 years. And if you go to all, the only other times we've seen it spike so high is peak of COVID, when everyone was so afraid that the world was going to completely blow up from COVID. And then the other one time that went above 52, that was the height of the great financial crisis back in 08, 09. That's how bad things were a month ago. Now things have calmed down. I think there's a lot of maybe hope in the markets that we're going to get tariffs down. We're going to make some deals with some of the countries out there. So as you can see, over the last few weeks, the S&P has rallied about 13%. I believe that's about 13%. And we're almost back to the levels before Liberation Day, right? That's where we are right now. So people have thought, you know what, it's not going to be so bad. Well, I personally disagree. I think we are in a universe today where the financial markets are dealing with a lot of copium. People think that things are not going to be so bad, but as a consumer, we've seen as consumers 40% price increases over the last 4 to 5 years. A lot of companies have taken a lot of price, and especially the food companies. There's a lot of these like big food companies in America. So like the largest one of the largest ones, for example, controls 20% of our egg supply. So they've taken a ton of price because of this uncertainty in the markets. And even as supply chains completely normalize, they've kept that price. They've not given it back to you, the consumer. So what that does is it really squeezes the consumer from being able to buy these nice pieces of cardboard, right? And then also at the same time, what is going to happen is we're going to at least have 10% tariff increases everywhere. And by the way, One Piece is 100% produced in Japan. So what that means is MSRP for this is $120 a box. Well, MSRP, you could see that go up to $132 a box. No problem. That should be base. But right now, right, if we can't get to a deal with Japan, we have like 30 something percent tariffs on Japan, I believe, or maybe 25%, one of those. So this could theoretically, and that's on top of the existing, the 10% that I talked about. So this could theoretically, if, let's say it's 25% with $120 of MSRP. I mean, that's a significant markup, right? So that could be $150, and then you plus the $12 I talked about. That's $162 for a box of One Piece. And that, I think, is a really significant negative. I don't think we're going to penalize Japan for too much longer, but I think what is going to happen is us as consumers, we're going to start paying a lot more for our hobbies, for everything that we love, cheap goods from China, cheap goods from, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, elsewhere. So that's going to squeeze us as hobby lovers, right? So it makes me very concerned that right now the financial markets are totally too optimistic in a way that I have not felt before, really in 3-4 years. Actually, the funny thing is, at the very bottom of COVID, right around here, I was buying a crap ton of stock. So that's something that actually helped me pay for my business school, which ended up being $200,000, and it really helped throughout that process. But right now at here, I'm actually moving to a lot more cash. So that's just me. You don't have to listen to me. In fact, probably don't listen to me. I'm just a goober that, has worked in finance. So maybe I'm a little bit jaded. But that's how I'm thinking about the world. But I do think that, don't listen to me on the stock advice here. But I do think my thoughts around how the consumer is going to react is very consistent, especially if we have tariffs for the long term, and at least in the next 2-3 years. I mean, that might be the case. So that's why, let's segue right into One Piece now. Few minutes into my video, right? But I do think that, if we're talking about One Piece, we're talking about EBO2. Right now, people are paying like $200 a booster box for this thing. Do not pay $200 a booster box for this thing. So this thing is releasing about a week and a half, I believe. It's pretty... I do want this. I don't have any of these on pre-order. I've spoken with Ken at Off Court. He doesn't have that many for sale, so I don't think that's even a possibility. And what has happened is, to my understanding, the physical shops have gone a ton of allocation, and the online shops have gone very little allocation. So, and then with the supply chain issues of coming in overseas from Asia, some of that has also disrupted the supply chains. So that's why we're seeing $213 a booster box. Yeah, it's gonna suck, right? Because first of all, hit rates in this box are very low, so that means a lot of people are just gonna buy and try to gamble with it, like total gamba mode, right? Like instead of going to Vegas, we're gambling with One Piece, hard gambling with One Piece at that point, right? I've seen people opening a case of this and trying to sell secret rares for $150 on Facebook. It's absolutely insane. So as you can see here are the hit rates for EBO2. And in fact, what we're seeing is that you're only going to get out of a case, you're only going to get 2 booster boxes with 3 hits. The rest are just 2 hits, so very low hit rates. It's going to keep the collectible prices very high. Hopefully that still means that we can get, singles that will be relatively cheap, right? We're not going to get rares for like $6 or something like that. I don't know. We will see. Moving on, but again, I don't think I would pay $113 for this. Moving on, same thing for Fist of Divine Speed. I think a lot of LGSs are putting pre-orders on hold because of just how goofy the supply chains have been. Definitely, I would not overspend on this. I actually canceled my order for OP11. I just didn't think that was very reasonable. I was buying it from a Canadian LGS, and our tariffs on Canada also right now are expensive. And then the tariffs are based on the country of production. So we're going to get Japanese tariffs, even though we are buying it from Canada or somewhere else. So it's a disaster, right? You're just going to get absolutely smoked no matter where you order this. So I know that's probably why prices are so high. What it also makes me concerned about is that it might squeeze the player base going forward. And I find that it makes me a little bit frustrated if that does end up happening, because again, we want to have kind of this triangle shape where, you're at the very top of older players and then more new players come in, a little bit triangle shaped. Some might call it a pyramid, if you will. But that's the structure of how games work, right? Like that's just how it is. So moving onwards, 2 Legends. So we're starting to see 2 Legends start to inflect. You can still buy this, I believe, for like $85 at certain LGSs as they're trying to cash out from this. So I don't know. I still probably wouldn't. Yeah, look, it used to be 70 something dollars. That's still crazy. But it's almost $100 a box. The thing with cheaper booster boxes is that over time, people have a long memory, right? When people think about how crappy this was at the beginning, it tends to stay that way. It tends to stay at a lower price for a longer period of time, and we'll see that with OPO4 as well. So I just don't think that I would spend a ton of money and like invest in 2 Legends. Moving on to Royal Blood, $98. They're probably, I'd imagine there's going to be another reprint on this at some point. I might try this even lower. But for now, we are to the end of the waves that have at least been confirmed. Grail's Gone Wild has these for $98 a box. Very reasonable price. I don't think this is a hugely or a meaningfully collectible set. There's obviously some really nice cards in here. Let me just show you guys. Very nice cards in here, but like the Usohachi SP, this thing is going bonkers, 200, because in the next set, purple is going to start doing really, really well for the next 2 sets, for EVO 2 and OP11. So Usohachi is going to be doing really, really well. So I do think that it makes sense why this is skyrocketing in price. But the box itself, I'm just not sure if it's going to be super, super valuable. Who knows? Maybe people will start opening up a bunch of these trying to get the Usohachi. We shall see. And then 500 Years in the Future is the next cheapest box. And by the way, I'm going from the cheapest to the most expensive, right? So cheapest box outside, and the next cheapest box is 500 Years in the Future. They printed a lot of these. You can find this at the Bandai stores. You can find these at Bandai events. They're plentiful right now, so that's why prices are really low. I do think this is a very collectible set, mainly because it has really Nami and Boa. So there's a reason for that, right? There's a lot of collectors that enjoy both of these. Oh, and Jewelry Bonnie. So giggity. I mean, it is what it is. Wings of the Captain is the next one. This one's starting to move up, $140 a box. You can also find this in the LGS, or not LGS's, Bandai stores, and this is still pretty easily obtainable. That said, I think having Zoro as the manga art in here until we find the next manga art Zoro, this is going to headline this set. And of course, you have, you have a certain angle of Rebecca that, our Gooner boys out there are absolutely going to like in this card. So I think there's just such a longevity to this set that I do think that long term the set will do very, very well. I've said it before. I said it while this thing was like $90 a box or $85 a box. I'm saying it again. I think this is very collectible for the future. Kingdoms of Intrigue, again, sets that people don't like. Prices just stay low, and this set was not massively reprinted, and in fact I don't remember there being a mega reprint after the first few waves, and even that being the case, we're not even hitting 200 a box, and this was not available in large quantities at the Bandai stores, if I remember correctly. So that still being the case, cannot believe that this is, I can believe that this is not even 200, but that's what I'm talking about. People, again, have long memories, right? This went down to $130 a box right at the end of last year. So crazy stuff. Pillars of Strength. Whoa, what is this drop? That's weird. But anyways, $220, I should say, for each of these booster boxes. A very good price. I do think OP03 is very collectible. People opened up a bunch of these boxes because of the meta cards that were in here, and of course, this is also the first set with SPs, with these wanted posters, even though it was not called an SP, it was just called the wanted poster rare. But this is collectible really for that reason. And of course, you have Anami headlining it. That's always makes it pretty good. But people did open up a lot of these boxes because it was so meta, because the category was so meta, and some of the other cards in here were so good for the meta. People just open these up, right? And as these things stop stocking at the Bandai stores, we're really towards the end of the life for this set potentially. So that's why we've seen just this pretty significant rip, right? February, 145 bucks. We're at $220 a box. So Paramount War, very, very much the exact same reason. Not really going to go into it too much. I don't think there's that many good hits in here, but this was one of the original boxes. One thing I would say just about this box is that there are two versions of this. So there is the first print version of OP02, and then there's the second print version of OP, the reprint version. And what it is if you look on the box, the difference is that one has a serial number, and that is the reprint version. And if you don't find a serial number on the side, I believe it's like on the left side here, or something like that, if I remember correctly. There might be one on the right side as well, but if you don't see that, that is a alpha version of Paramount War. Definitely keep that for a collectible. I don't believe that it's been fully fleshed out that one is one and one's the other. People are not really chasing for it. But it's kind of like, shadowless Pokemon versus non-shadowless, or blue bottom versus white bottom. Blue bottom versus white bottom is very famous, but the other side of the serial versus non-serial, so reprint versus non-reprint, has not really been fleshed out. I do think that's going to drive value for the non-serial number on the side here versions of One Piece Paramount War. So Awakening the New Era, I've talked about this multiple times. I've always said this is a very collectible set. A lot of people didn't agree with me because the cards in here, it's just a lot of them are not worth very much aside from the top end cards. I've always said this is my favorite set for collection, or one of my favorite sets outside of OP01, because of just how it was so memorable during that era of the first anniversary. You had the first Gear 5 manga Luffy card, and it was a banana time, right? Like on release, these boxes were going for $250 a box. So I would just say that I still think this is super, super, super collectible. If you can find these at the Bandai stores, buy as many of these as you can. PRB01. I thought this was going to be less collectible than it ended up being. I thought there was also going to be a reprint, neither of which ended up being true. So I am totally wrong there. Absolutely happy to admit that, because we definitely need more cool collectible sealed items in One Piece that keeps its value over time. And this is an absolutely amazing set. This has the God packs in this set as well, where you get all those manga art. You probably can cash out like, $6,000 of value if you can find a God pack, which is insane to me. So I do think that at $280 for a booster box, it's crazy, but I don't think that is unreasonable. I probably wouldn't buy this just because I'm cheap and I don't like to pay so much above MSRP. But if you are a collector and you don't have these on hand, I do think that it's not out of realm to actually pay for one of these. So let me know what you guys think, right? Or would you still pay for this? I mean, at this price, this is $280. So let's just say it's $300 shipped. There's only 20 booster boxes in here. That's $15 per pack. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. I will not lie. That is a very expensive booster pack. But it is what it is. There's God packs in here, and there's a lot of cards in here that are worth a mucho money. Meta, I don't know why it's not letting me show you guys this is so weird. It's not letting me show you guys the cards in here, but worth a lot. Memorial Collection 01, I do think that this is starting to make sense for the prices to fade as we go into potentially EB02. I probably wouldn't pay $300 for this. If you want one for your collection, I would probably just wait. Wait for EB02, and then wait for... Sorry, when I said EB02, I meant PRB02. For PRB02 to come out, there is rumors that they're going to reprint some of the cards in the Memorial Collection. And I think that is very, very necessary, because this set is way too expensive. There's just too many cards in here that are ridiculous, like this secret rare. They should have reprinted this a long time ago. They just never did it. I don't know why they didn't do that. So $300 a booster box, I probably personally would not pay for that. Unless you own an LGS and you just want to sell some cards. In that case, that might make sense, but outside of that, and outside of you going to like a store, or going to like a Collecticon and trying to like buy a pack off a vendor, maybe that makes sense. But I don't know if this price is really, really reasonable. Romance Dawn OP01, not much to say here. If there's no more reprints, I don't think there is, $430 a box, I would pay that. And then if you are a true collector, if you are someone who believes in the spirit of Monkey D. Luffy, if you can find it for cheaper than $1,500, definitely pick one up. I think this is the ultimate collector's item for One Piece outside of some of the serial cards. If you're not a serial card or singles collector, but you're a sealed collector, you have to have one of these point blank. Anyways, that's it. Thanks guys for watching. Let me know what you guys are, where you guys are, right, on sealed collection. If you're buying, if you're not buying, definitely buy. When you do buy within, my advice is buy within reason. You know, if a recession does come, you know, so that you don't want to like regret having just a bunch of cardboard on your hands rather than, you know, hard cash. I would rather have the latter. That's just me. Call me crazy. Can't really eat cardboard these days. And I don't know, maybe they'll make a set where the cardboard is edible, and then the set will be even more valuable because people are just eating into the collection. You know, not just opening booster boxes, but they're also eating the cards themselves. Maybe at that point, you know, we'll just have a true type of meme scenario of just having those having cards be perishable and effectively it's kind of like those like old commercials or like old like candies that have like gone away that I can't think of that many off the top of my head, but like, you know, think like Pokemon themed fruit gushers or something from like 2002 or something like that, right? Like maybe that will make it collectible. Yeah, in One Piece. We shall see. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time.